So Kamala Harris spoke to the New York Times, and she has some thoughts on Israel for us. Look out.
Being a democracy, and is one of our closest friends in that region, and that we should understand the shared values and priorities that we have as a democracy, and conduct foreign policy in a way that is consistent with understanding the alignment between the American people and the people of Israel.
Does Israel meet human rights standards to your personal satisfaction?
Well, talk in more detail. What specifically are you referring to?
As a country overall, in terms of how they...
Overall, yes.
She knew that answer was bullshit. Which is why she was like, "Oh, what are you referring to?" Oh, God, you know what he's referring to. He's talking about the illegal occupation. He's talking about the settlements. He's talking about the ruthless treatment of Palestinians. Come on, what are you doing? What are you talking? Gaza is an open-air prison. There's West Bank settlement expansion on a regular basis. What are you doing? Why would you? Oh, God. There you have it. I mean, I don't really need to add much commentary to this because she said it all right there. Her position is crystal clear. I love well, they're a democracy, and we're a democracy, so we're linked. They are functioning in part as an apartheid state. And that's politically incorrect, and you're not allowed to say it, but it's totally true. So for her to just casually brush that aside shows you how serious she is and what her moral concerns are and her ethical concerns are. They're non-existent. She's playing the political game that people play in the United States of America to try to get ahead. But I got bad news for her. This is on video, and we can see it, and we know you're full of shit. Okay, so everybody out there, because Kamala Harris is doing her best Bernie Sanders impression, trying to, win this election. But there are massive differences. Now, I'm not saying Bernie Sanders is perfect on Israel. He most certainly is not. He doesn't support BDS, for example. But Bernie Sanders also has very strong condemnations of Netanyahu and the settlements and the Israeli government in general, and certainly more than Kamala Harris has ever had. And that does count for something. They are not equal on this issue, not even close. So you see, there are moments of honesty from Kamala Harris. She also spoke at AIPAC years back, and it was exactly as terrible as you would expect. They'll look the other way to human rights abuses all day long. And that's unacceptable. In the year 2019, to turn away from these obvious human rights abuses at a time when, by the way, the polls among the Democratic base are completely shifting on this issue. In other words, the Democratic base is much more sympathetic to the plight of Palestinians at this point because they're tired of the doublespeak coming out of Israel and the victim game they play where they always try to pretend like they're the victim when they have all the weapons and they have all the money and Palestinians are living in terrible circumstances. By the way, why this is so important is it shows you that she's unlikely to change anything. That's why this is important. It's incredibly important because do you think Kamala Harris is going to stop the weapons deals? Or is going to stop the subsidies and the flow of money there? Or do you think she's very likely to continue everything as it is? I think I know the answer to that. Do you? I mean, the strongest condemnation we got was under Obama, the U.S. abstained from a vote that criticized Israel over the illegal settlements. So in other words, usually the U.S. would flat out be against any condemnation of Israel for illegal settlements. They didn't even support condemning them. All they did was abstain and say, we'll let the vote go through and the rest of the UN can abstain. It was a toothless resolution, but the rest of the UN was condemning Israel for illegal settlements, and Obama took a hands-off approach. That's the strongest condemnation we've had in decades. Now, do you think Kamala Harris is going to go further than that at all? No. She's not going to use economic power to try to make them do the right thing. She's going to keep business as usual going, and that's the problem.